Welcome to the wonderful world of old sheet music. I'm your host, Nicholas Carroll. Tonight I am looking at a Prelude in Pastel, which is by Maxwell Eckstein, E-C-K, Eckstein. He worked for the Carl Fisher Publishing Company, which it does say on here, which still exists. It was one of the most successful publishing companies of its time, and I guess that's why it still survived, unlike many others. That's my cuckoo clock if you're hearing that tweeting sound. The idea here is a lot of these companies like Carl Fisher had like in-house composers, and they would just kind of churn out pieces. Sometimes they would use pen names so that you wouldn't know that a lot of their stuff was written by the same person. And this composer, Maxwell Eckstein, was one of those in-house composers. He did that for many years. He was also an author of a piano method that didn't really catch on, which was called the Eckstein method. But this sheet music is clearly intended for a student recital. It says right here on the back that this is recital materials for intermediates, and has a couple other examples that they're selling. Two of them are by him. One of them is by him by his name, and the other one is by him with a pseudonym that he used. If you want to do some research on him, you can actually find his obituary in the New York Times catalog, which I think is kind of interesting if you want to look that up and read it. I looked it up before I did the video. Sometimes you can't find anything about the composers, but he died in 1974, I think it was. This particular piece was written in 1942, and so it is very much late intermediate, if not slightly advanced, so it doesn't go along with all the ones on the back. As you can see here, it is all about accidentals. So any piece that has like a color name, if you're familiar at all with piano liturgy, or not liturgy, sorry, I'm a church musician too. That's a funny slip. But if you're familiar with piano repertoire, you will know that there's like this famous set of pieces by Robert Starter that's like different colors, and they're all kind of abstract. This is kind of similar to that. Anytime you see a name like crimson or pastel or some kind of color in the name, you know it's going to be kind of impressionistic style. So it's usually going to have all these different kind of accidentals to give you different chord tones. Has several quasi arpeggio parts, it says. So we're going to see how it goes. Of course, it's harder to sight read stuff like that because you have to read all these accidentals, but sometimes it's harder to sight read them, and then when you play it, it's actually really not that difficult of a piece once you like expect them. But we shall see how I do here. So there you have it. Prelude in Pastel by Maxwell Eckstein. I thought it was an interesting piece. Overall, it wasn't really all that hard to sight read after all, which I was a little surprised by, but I guess I'm getting better and at sight reading, having done this hundreds of times now. But I've been sight reading a lot longer than I have been doing videos, so regardless, I thought it did have some interesting parts. Overall, it was quite soft and slow. The middle section kind of reminded me a little bit of Rhapsody in Blue, if you've ever played the piano version of that. So yeah, anyway, decent piece for sure.